once it's actually outside of that approach ellipsoid, it'll do another departure burn number 2. That's the third of 4. And that begins sending it back down underneath the International Space Station because, as Kate talked about a little bit earlier, once Dragon jettisons its trunk prior to the deorbit, we do want to make sure that it's below the space station's altitude. So that'll be coming up in a little while. But Dragon continuing to fly free. Look at everything looking good so far.
Like Dan said, the next big milestone that we're looking for here is exiting that approach ellipsoid. We're expecting that to happen at 11:48 p.m. Pacific, which is in about 8 minutes from now. At 11:48 p.m. Pacific.
And you can actually see some of the Draco thruster firings from this view. Dragon a little over 400 meters now away from the space station.
So just in case you've just tuned in, we are currently watching Dragon as it departs from the International Space Station. It's been a really smooth operation so far with the undocking procedure, and now we're moving into departure. We will be losing video feed for a couple of minutes shortly, but as of right now, you can see on your screen the Dragon capsule moving away and towards the as it moves out away from the approach ellipsoid. There we see the nose cone still in its open position, leaving the forward hatch exposed. We will be closing that prior to Dragon's re-entry. We should have the exit from the approach ellipsoid here in just 5 minutes or so.
That's right. And as Kate prophetically alluded to, we did just lose that signal with the International Space Station. This does happen from time to time, whether we're handing over between the tracking and data relay satellites that we get our communications from, or other people do use them. So it's possible that someone else is using them, or it could be that the antenna is actually blocked. That will happen as the antenna on the outside of the space station that points towards the satellite sometimes gets blocked momentarily by things like the solar arrays and the structure of the space station itself. But we will get that video back shortly. And we've been lucky today. We've had a daylight undocking, so we're getting to see Dragon fly away from the space station in broad daylight. That undocking again came at 11:32 p.m. Pacific time, while the station and Dragon were just about 253 statute miles over the Sudan in Africa. But for now, we are just continuing to hang with it. We should get that video communication back with the space station in about 2 minutes or so. And by then, we'll be really close to Dragon moving outside of that approach ellipsoid. That'll be the next big milestone. And getting reports, Dragon a little over 500 meters away now. And it's back with live views from the International Space Station. Dragon still flying away. See it lit up here. We should be just a minute or two away from that exit outside of the approach ellipsoid. We'll get that call up to the crew from the Capcom. It's Leslie Ringo there inside of Mission Control Houston. All right, we just passed 700 meters now away from the space station. Again, we're already well outside of that keep out sphere, which is a sphere, imaginary sphere, just 200 meters in radius around the International Space Station. The next one's going to be the exit from that approach ellipsoid. That's the major thing that the station crew is also looking for, as that's when they're basically off the hook for any monitoring. It's Canadian astronaut David St. Jacques inside the Destiny laboratory at the command panel, just in case he needs to send anything to Dragon. But for now, it's done all of its operations autonomously without any issues. Undocking right about on time at 11:32 p.m. Pacific. And so we're continuing to get really great views. Dragon backdrop by the inky blackness of space. You'll see the cameras are a little bit jerky in their motions. They're actually being controlled by somebody on the ground in mission control. We always like to talk about how in mission control over in Houston, that's where they actually fly the space station. That's where they control everything from the cameras and the communications to even the thermostat on board the space station. If it's too hot for the crew, they talk to the ground. And they're the ones who can turn the AC up. But so it's actually somebody at a console right now. Controlling those cameras, sending commands just to move all the pan, tilt, focus, everything else. They're doing it from a console on Earth while the thing is flying 250 steps. Miles over the Earth on the other side of the planet.
Like Dan mentioned before, we're going really fast right now. We're at about 17,500 miles per hour. So everything is moving very quickly. The